Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. I was intending to put a War Thunder video up today, but I played for something like 6 hours yesterday and didn't manage to get a single bit of usable footage. Mostly because I was trying to fly jets in realistic battles, and I really suck at flying jets in realistic battles, so let's have some World of Tanks instead. Today it's all about the Hellcat. This is a little game I had on the Mines map about a week ago. Terrible matchmaking. Hellcat obviously tier 6 American tank destroyer. This is a tier 8 game, and it's on a very small map where you really can't exploit the advantages of the Hellcat's fantastic view range. On the other hand, you are one of the fastest machines on the battlefield, so getting to the top of the hill, particularly if the enemy don't challenge you to get up here, is usually pretty easy. Of course, once you do get up here, it's all about staying alive long enough to make effective use of this 90mm gun. Generally speaking, even if you do have the sixth sense, especially in a tier 8 game on mines when you're up here in a Hellcat, just assume you've been spotted every time you pop out to fire. Pop out, take a shot and back off immediately. If you do have sixth sense and it hasn't gone off, great, pop out, take another shot. If sixth sense does go off, stay in cover for a minimum of 6 seconds. That way you have plenty of time both to drop off the enemy radar, and for anybody who did swing their gun around to point at your exposed position to get bored and hopefully point the gun around at something else, like that T-29 there, who didn't even attempt to use the cover and almost certainly got spotted by the tanks that I was shooting at, and is therefore drawing fire. But the T-29 blundering around next to me and drawing fire from all over the map is actually the least of my problems right now, because a Ferdinand just popped up underneath that position, so I can't go back there now anyway. With a Ferdinand there within 50 meters of my position, he will be spotting me even if he doesn't have a direct line of sight to my Hellcat, so I cannot go back to that position without being lit up by the Ferdy. Oh wait, now there he is, he's coming around. Okay, that makes things different. Now, if he is more than 50 meters away from that position, and right now I know he is more than 50 meters away because he's dropped off my radar, that means I can go back. Just in time to get a nice big fat juicy Nashorn kill. Taking the hill on mines is very important. The position commands the entire map. You're not guaranteed to win if you have the hill, but it is a lot easier to win if you do have the hill. If you're not in possession of the hill, the next best thing that you can do is try to flank around via the island over there on the west, and that is exactly what the enemy team are doing. But that does mean that all the pro tier 7 and 8 tank destroyers who have barely moved 50 meters from the spawn point since the start of the game and are all camping the base are finally going to have something to shoot at. Meanwhile, that Ferdinand is coming up the ramp, and because we don't want to get shot at from the Indian Panzer over on the island, we come around this side, so we've got cover from him to get some shots in on the 30. And while we're over here, we spot another sneaky Nashorn. Let's get some quick damage in on him before he gets obliterated by the spawn campers over there at the back. So next order of business is going to be that Type 59. I mean, the Type 59's made it around the flank, but, you know, now he's got all the tier 7 and 8 tank destroyers to worry about. But he does have some very effective fire coming from behind him in the shape of that Indian Panzer, who is remaining undetected and using the Type 59 to spot the campers on the hill for him, and doing a pretty good job. And I don't have effective shots at the Type 59, so instead, quite surprised that didn't penetrate the IS-3. I mean, the IS-3's armour was... The pike nose of the IS-3 basically means that the frontal armour is pre-angled. Right? You shouldn't be trying to angle the IS-3. And he was pointing the tank straight at me, purely by accident. But I'm on higher ground than him, so the sloping of the armour is mostly negated by the fact that I'm shooting down into it. And yet, didn't penetrate anyway. What are you going to do? You can't win them all. Meanwhile, that Type 59 and Indian Panzer car... Oh, okay. one of our IS-3s just nailed the Indian Panzer. That's good news, because the Type 59 and the Indian Panzer were easily the enemy team's most effective players. They've managed to slaughter most of the hill campers, but I'm not too concerned about the Type 59 now. He's got an IS-3 going after him, and that IS-3 is pretty good. Speaking of IS-3s, there is very little in this game that I love shooting at more than the exposed ass of big, fat enemy heavy tanks, who were immobilised with their turret, and more importantly their gun, on the wrong side of some hard cover, so that they can't actually defend themselves against you. Remember, fair fights are for suckers. If you find yourself in a fair fight, you've done something wrong. Especially if you're tier 6 and he's tier 8, it isn't a fair fight in the first place. So take every possible opportunity to exploit every unfair advantage you can, and do as much damage as possible without taking any in return. And I think Foch was about to do something very, very silly and very, very funny. Yet there it is. Charged the AT-15 in his SU-100, shotgunned him with a 122mm gun, which left him on just low enough health that he could... It's not often you manage to successfully ram kill an AT-15 in something like an SU-100, but totally worth it. So, all we've got to do now is root out that M5 Stuart, and that shouldn't be too difficult to do if you're in a machine that can do 72 km per hour, and you're on a map as small as mines. There are only a limited number of places you can be hiding. And we've pretty much all got an idea of where he's going to be. Yep, there he is. All that remains is to get him in the most amusing way possible. Now, the Hellcat doesn't have a lot of armour, and it doesn't weigh a lot, but neither does the M5 Stuart, and I am doing 72 km per hour. Ramming speed and shotgun. Some might call it overkill, I call it amusing. And while I'm tempted to say just another example of tier 6s carrying a bunch of tier 8s, that's not strictly true, and it wouldn't be entirely fair, because our T32, our T29 in particular, and our IS-3 also had good games, but it's fairly safe to say the tier 6s definitely punched above their weight in that one. Our next Hellcat replay is a completely different situation. It's a tier 6 match, it's Prokhorovka, it's ideal Hellcat territory. So Wagger 100 here is going to show us what he can do with his Hellcat under these kind of circumstances. Now, I don't know which country Wagger plays from, somewhere in Europe, but he doesn't have a very good internet connection. And he is playing with a latency of anything between 200 and 250 milliseconds, which is not the worst I've ever seen, but it is pretty bad, and it's going to explain the jerkiness of some of the elements of this replay, so bear that in mind while you're watching it. First target, enemy Bishop Artillery, who's not in nearly as good cover as he thinks he is. And coming up, you're going to see what's just about the only poor decision that Wagger makes in the course of this game. And it's to do with that Lux, chasing down the A20. Now, why at this point he doesn't shoot at the Lux, and instead he goes for the KV-1S, I have no idea. And that's going to cost him, because not only has the Lux spotted him, the Lux can also easily penetrate the armour of the Hellcat, and he does finally realise that the Lux is the most significant threat, but the Lux spotted him, and he takes a big old hit from an M4 Sherman up on the hill, probably firing the 105mm howitzer with high explosive shells, judging by the amount of damage he took from one hit. So now he's lost most of his health, but the Lux is dead. The Lux was easily the most significant threat that he was facing up there. So now that he's not in immediate danger of being spotted every time he pokes this ridge, he can start using the Hellcat's superlative view range, a 90mm gun, to start racking up a kill or two. There's his first one. Nailed an M8 tank destroyer. Backs off, doesn't pop up again in the same location. And now we can get some revenge on the M4, who hit him earlier with a howitzer. Revenge is sweet. And watch this. He spots the Chinook, the Chinook disappears. He aims ahead, fires blind, misses the Chinook, but kills the bishop. So he stops there for a moment to laugh his ass off and then finishes off the Chinook as well. Looking around for more targets, KV-1 at the top of the hill, giving him his flank, plants one into him. Rather than focus the KV-1 down, he decides to switch his fire to this Churchill. Aims for the turret front, and it bounces. Kind of unlucky. Front of the turret of the Churchill, from that sort of range, is the best chance of penetrating, but it bounces. KV-1S, over there on the right, is the next thing to grab his attention. And no, probably been spotted, needs to back off. There is a Churchill in front of him. He is on very, very low health. Rather than take the risk of waiting and aiming on that KV-1S, he backs off, breaks contact, moves around to a much, much better position. Finishes off the KV-1S, backs up again, just in case his position was revealed to that Churchill, gets a nice big rock between him and the enemy tank. Tests the position, Churchill doesn't shoot at him, plants one right into the turret front, that one goes through. Churchill doesn't appear to have spotted him. Okay, fair enough. Kills the Churchill. Right, what next? Oh look, targets on the hill. There's that KV-1 we saw earlier. One more for a Radley Walters medal. Oh, hello Mr. T3485. There's that Radley Walters medal you ordered. Can we do better than that? Well, first somebody's going to have to find them. And we pretty much dealt with absolutely everything that was on the eastern and central side of the map. So, probably time to turn our attention to the road of certain death that runs north-south along the western end of the map. And there's something shooting over there. And it is the logical place for the remaining enemy tanks to be. And yep, sure enough, there's the enemy AT-8, British Tier 6 tank destroyer. Does have thick side armour, 100mm. But this is the 90mm gun. All we have to do is hit him. That'll do. Hang about. That sounded like another enemy tank detected. And it's the artillery! Oh! Hello! Shooting at AT-8s is good, but killing artillery is better. Especially if you can ninja the kill like that. There's 9 kills. Of course, in the space of time that it took him to turn the gun around, the AT-8 has disappeared, and the guys down there in the cap are being shot at by something, so there is something down right over there, in the bottom corner. But the AT-8 pops up again, and he's brought a little T-28 friend with him. Now, AT-8's more dangerous. And you get more XP and credits for shooting a Tier 6 than you do a Tier 4. So, we'll just... Oh, unlucky, that one bounced. Come on, come on, one more hit, and he's dead. Can we get 10 kills? We can get 10 kills. Can we get 11 kills? Yes, we can get 11 kills. Can we make it 12? Can we make it 12? Yes, we can make it 12. Can we go for 13? Well, it's entirely possible, but it's going to depend on the guys in the cap. Hellcat's quick, but we don't know. I mean, we know he's in that bottom corner of the map, but we don't know exactly where he is. And Wagger is probably going to be the one to detect him, because he's the one rushing over here first. And are the guys in the cap going to let him do it? They do. What a bunch of gentlemen. What a great bunch of team players these guys were. Somebody just moved out of the cap to give him the chance to get his 13th kill. And there it is. Yeah, too slow, little Artie. Too slow for this Hellcat. So, yeah, count those medals. One more kill, he would have gotten a Razanai Heroes Award. And my apologies, Lithuania. I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly. 13 kills in a Hellcat. That's not bad. The best I've ever done in a game was 12 kills, but that was in a Tier 2 Tetrarch Seal Clubber on mines, so it doesn't really count. The next best I've ever done was 11 in a Jag Tiger in a Tier 9 match, and I was quite happy with that result. I've seen somebody get 15, but while it was intensely amusing to watch, he was driving a Derp Hetzer in a Tier 4 match with a 105mm howitzer and high explosive anti-tank ammo, so we're going to disqualify that one on a technicality. Amusing though it was to watch, it wasn't exactly fair. But yeah, Wagger 100 there, getting 13 kills in a Tier 6 match on Prokhorovka in his M18 Hellcat. Made my day, and made my previous example in the Tier 8 match on Mines look positively pedestrian. So I hope you enjoyed watching that one as much as I did. And as always folks, take care on that battlefield. I'll catch you next time.